Have you ever wondered if your valuable personal information has been compromised in a cyber attack or a security breach? Lots of companies likely have your information on file, but how do you know if it's kept safe?
There are services out there claiming to search the hidden parts of the internet to make sure your information isn't out there. But are these services and products legitimate?
Our Joe Paris put one product to the test and verified how well it works.
If you watch TV, chances are you've probably seen this advertisement from the credit agency Experian. They say they can offer you protection from cyber criminals on the dark web looking to steal your personal information. So, what is the dark web? And should you be worried about it? To find out, we spoke with Doug Twitchell, an assistant professor at Boise State who emphasizes his studies in cybersecurity.
When we call it the dark web because people who do these things want to not be found, and so they use technologies that try to keep them anonymous and confidential.
Experts generally agree that only about 5% of the entire World Wide Web is actually accessible to the public. So when you think about what you can and can't see, imagine an iceberg. Users are trading stolen information right now on the dark web. They're making sure their sites and information are not indexed by search engines like Google, so they stay dark. Sites on the dark web can only be found with their exact URL and by using specialized software.
And the URLs, that's what we call the address. The address looks a lot different and is usually just made up of essentially random numbers and characters. And that's how they keep themselves hidden.
And that makes these cyber crimes hard for law enforcement to track. Take last year's Equifax credit hack, which involved the trade and sale of personal information on the dark web.
We estimate that it was about 143 million people had their information stolen in this hack.
Info like social security numbers, bank accounts, credit information, all available to be bought and sold. In a national commercial, credit reporting agency Experian claims that they can protect you from that very scenario by scanning the dark web and letting you know if your information is out there. All you have to do is enter your email. But our expert says that service is more so a clever advertising tactic rather than a useful service.
My initial impression was they're just trying to scare people. Just having the email address is not all that valuable. In fact, if you have an email address and you signed up for pretty much anything, then everybody has your email address.
We did the scan, and it appears that Experian really does run some kind of search of your email address. After the search, they email you the results, then encourage you to buy a monthly subscription to have them search the dark web for your valuable personal data. Data that first you need to hand over to them. Even still, Twitchell says Experian's dark web search can only go so far.
And in fact, I would say that they're only getting into a small amount of what's being traded on there, because how can anybody even know if they are getting to the entire thing when they don't?
If you take a closer look at Experian's website, they advertise doing daily scans of over 600,000 web pages to detect if your info is stolen. But in reality, that's only a fraction of the over 1 billion websites that are publicly accessible on the internet. Twitchell says, in his opinion, the Experian service does have plenty of benefits that could be valuable to consumers looking to take charge of their personal information. But when it comes specifically to monitoring your information on the dark web, Twitchell says he isn't sold the product can fully do that. So as a consumer, it's up to you to decide if exchanging your personal information and money for a protection service really makes you feel safer. So we can verify that yes, Experian can scan some parts of the dark web and offer you protection with their service, but the extent of that is questionable. When signing up for any identity theft protection service, though, our expert says to keep this in mind.
The probability is low, and so it's likely not going to happen to you. But even if it does, there are already processes in place for you to be able to contest and fix the problems that it can cause.
I reached out to Experian for a comment on this story, but they did not return my calls or my voicemails. Joe Paris, Idaho's News Channel 7.